Snake, do you remember the sinking of that tanker 2 years ago?
Of course.
Terrorists blow a hole in an oil tanker full of crude barely 20 miles off the shore of Manhattan. Your classic nightmare. It didn't take long for the government to put an oil fence around the whole mess. And then that massive offshore cleanup facility went up inside.
The big shell. I hear the cleanup isn't quite over yet.
It takes time, but in the meantime, the shell's become a landmark, a symbol of environmental protection.
Calling teams Alpha and Bravo. Deploy at the big shell as scheduled.
Approximately 6 hours ago, the big shell was seized by an armed group.
Do we have an ID?
Former members of the Navy SEAL Special Anti-Terrorist Training Squad Dead Cell. Russian private army members may also be involved. It's a highly trained group and they have the big shell under complete control.
What are their demands?
$30 billion.
$30 billion? What makes them think they can get that much?
There was a government-sponsored tour going on at the big shell that day.
Hostages, huh?
A VIP from one of the major conservation groups, and one from our own government. The most important person in a sense.
The most important person?
James Johnson.
The president?
Unless the demands are met, the terrorists intend to blow the big shell out of the water.
And the crude will ignite, turning the Manhattan Harbor into an inferno.
That's not the worst-case scenario. If the chlorides being used to decontaminate the seawater go up with the oil, toxins containing catastrophic levels of dioxins will be released. In other words, the bay's ecosystem will be wiped out, and the sea will turn into a toxic soup for centuries, becoming the worst environmental disaster in history. You have 2 mission objectives. 1. Infiltrate the offshore decontamination facility Big Shell and safeguard the president and other hostages. And 2. Disarm the terrorists by any means necessary. You should know that SEAL Team 10 is also conducting a rescue operation.
Is this a joint effort?
No. FOXHOUND remains a covert body. Don't let them to your presence. That is an order.
This is Snake. I'm now inside Strut A of Shell 1.
How are things?
We're in luck. Looks like there are no sentries posted here.
What's the visibility?
The lights on the plant's struts are functioning. I won't have to use the IR goggles.
Any problems?
There was a brand new hole cut through the oil fence. There's someone else besides me that wanted to get in badly.
That's not possible.
What about SEAL Team 10?
They landed on the roof of the big shell as planned. And by the way, Snake, we're changing your code name for all following communication.
What's wrong with Snake?
Just a precaution. You are now designated Raiden. All right, Raiden. You've already covered infiltration and VR training.
I've completed 300 missions in VR. I feel like some kind of legendary mercenary.
Okay, we'll skip that part. Make sure nobody sees you. If you need to, Contact me by codec. The frequency is 140.85. When you want to use the codec, push the select button. When we need to reach you, contact you, the codec will beep. When you hear that noise, press the select button. The codec's receiver directly stimulates the small bones of your ear. No one but you will be able to hear it.
All right. I'll contact you if anything changes.
First, make your way to the upper section of the big shell.
How do I get up to the next level?
There's an elevator at the far end of that area. Use that.
Sounds good.
Your new sneaking suit uses electrofiber technology, a byproduct of fiber optics research. The texture isn't far removed from rubber, but the material protects against a wide range of toxic substances. The suit itself has a wide array of built-in sensors. It is referred to as smart skin in military R&D. Data about damage to different regions of the body, including blood loss, is exchanged between the suit and the intravenous nanomachines to create a feedback system.
There's a lot of pressure on my torso.
Relax. The suit applies varying pressure to major internal organs to maximize performance and safeguard their functions. They call this the skull suit in FOXHOUND.
Skull suit seems appropriate somehow.
The hatch with a circular handle will open into the elevator area. Locate the hatch first.
Copy that. Moving on to main mission objectives.
If you see an approximately waist-high railing, push the action button near it. You will be able to climb over the railing and hang down from the other side. This is referred to as hanging. Not only does it allow you to stay out of the enemy's sight, you will be able to reach locations that are otherwise inaccessible. You will be able to move left and right while hanging. You can use the capability move undetected. Press the action button again to climb up from hanging.
Look at all these bugs. The seawater is polluted with crude oil, and yet they can still survive.
It's an altered bug that can resolve crude oil.
Altered?
Yes, through genetic engineering. It was created in the lab to combat frequent oil spills. It doesn't exist naturally. The bug is genetically altered with DNA from a bacteria called Pseudomonas, which can decompose crude oil. It has an enzyme in its body that can break up oil, and was modified so it instinctively consumes any crude oil that it absorbs. One of the reasons the big shell has little oil pollution is because of this bug. It also helps in reducing costs and the number of spill maintenance workers. It's a form of bioremediation. It's for the most part innocuous, so no need to be worried. Those bugs have ravenous appetites. Be careful that they don't end up eating your rations. Shake your equipment to protect the items from sea lice. Raiden, first get to the upper section of the big shell. Take the elevator in the north end of the area. To get to the elevator area, go through the connecting passageway to the north. The passage is behind a watertight hatch. It should look like a door with a circular handle. You're currently using artificial blood primed with nanomachines.
What did you do with my own blood?
It's being kept in cold storage. It will be circulated back into your body when you return. If the life gauge drops to the red zone, you won't be able to stop the bleeding by yourself. Bloodstains can give your presence away to the enemy. Be careful. To stop the flow, select a bandage from among your items. You can also go into a crouch or crawl and stay completely still for a while. All you have to do is stop moving for a duration of time, and your nanomachines will arrange for platelets to be produced in large numbers. The bleeding will stop as a result. Got your feet wet? These are the basic controls for swimming. When you're on the surface, you can swim in corresponding directions using the up, down, left, and right movement of the left analog stick. Push the punch button to dive down from the surface. Stroke the water and move forward by pushing the punch button. Push it in rapid succession to swim faster. Change your heading with the left analog stick. Up will take you up, down takes you lower, left and right to face those directions. The O2 gauge will appear under your life gauge while you're underwater. The gauge corresponds to the amount of air you can hold from a single deep breath. Once the O2 gauge falls to 0, the life gauge will start to drop. You need to be aware of that. Raiden, you should be used to the controls by now. Proceed with your mission. The clock is ticking. Get on the elevator on the far side of this area and get to the upper section of the big shell.
Colonel, there's a gym suit.
Looks like a high barometric pressure diving suit. By maintaining barometric pressure within the suit, It should allow its wearer to carry out work at sea depths of as much as 300 meters, but it doesn't look even remotely usable. It's a very old model.
Yeah, and it's rusted all over. It doesn't even look like it's been used.
Raiden, that diving suit doesn't look like it works. Forget about it and return to your duties. The punch is the basis of hand-to-hand combat. Push the punch button. Hit it repeatedly to do a combo and take out the enemy. Unlike in VR training, you can fight in first-person view also. Use that to your advantage. Move in close to the enemy when you have no weapon selected. You can throw him with the weapon button. The throw inflicts greater damage than the punch. Keep that in mind. Move in behind the enemy and push the weapon. Raiden, push the R2 or L. Once you see the codec screen, set the frequency by moving the left analog stick left and right. Push the left analog stick up or hit the enter button to start a call on that frequency. The codec is also capable of retaining the frequencies that you contacted in its memory. Lean the left analog stick down in the codec screen to activate the memory window. The memory window displays a list of frequencies used to date. Select a frequency and push the enter button to start a call on that frequency. Raiden, when you're flattened against a corner, you have the ability to survey the scene behind you while staying concealed. This is called the corner view. Use it to find an opening in their surveillance and move ahead undiscovered. Strafing is allowed, unlike in VR training. Peek by using the L2 and R2 buttons, and make jump-out shots with the weapon button. Take advantage of the different options. Flatten yourself against the wall. If you find an item box, walk up to it and take a look in first-person view. You should be able to see what's inside the box. An item box can sometimes fall out while moving an enemy's body. Pick it up quickly. Once you put a chokehold on an enemy from behind, you can drag him around with you. As long as you don't let go, he can serve as a human shield. Keep in mind, Raiden, that this is a covert mission. There's a lot of them and only one of you. You'll be surrounded in no time if they discover your presence. To get to the elevator area, go through. Select a weapon and you can strafe. Raiden, the tranquilizer rounds vary significantly in effectiveness depending on the part of the body that... A grip gauge is displayed under the... To get to the elevator area, handguns and automatic rifles. To get to the elevator, if you shoot out the radio behind the enemy's right hip, you can prevent him from calling in reinforcements. Use the first-person view for precise shooting.
Colonel, I've sighted an enemy sentry. AN-94 and a Makarov. Those grenades, all his equipment, is Russian-made.
Must be a Gorlukovich man.
Gorlukovich?
A Russian private army that was in line to work with the Shadow Moses takeover group 4 years ago.
What's their stake in this one?
They must have made a deal, an arrangement with the terrorists. They become a band of mercenaries, an army without a country.